What's going on, family? How is everybody doing? Please hit that like button for me. Just please hit that like button for me. We are in the building. We are going to have not a long conversation tonight. I'm going to get to the calls kind of early because I want to see what you all have to say. If some of you have seen the interview, I want to see what you all have to say. And I want to connect this to the whole Gayle and Oprah thing. There's a lot of sister girling going on. But please, family, while we're here, make sure you hit that like button. As always, you can go to donatebrown.com, patreon.com/ycarnell. You can do all of that. You can go to subscribetobrown.com and leave me your email address. I promise you I will not bother or harass you. I just want to have it in case I need it. So please, 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 please do that, fam. I would appreciate it. I would absolutely appreciate it. It would mean the world to me. Also, hit that bell. Hit that subscribe button if you have not hit that subscribe button. That is important. Hit the bell so you get notifications, all of that good stuff, and we're going to get right into it. I wasn't, sometimes I don't even know. Like, I wasn't even going to discuss, I don't think, the ABC News interview like that, but I think we have to. Like, after I see it, I think there are some things we have to have a conversation about. So first of all, I want to say that Steve Asansumi, he was. This is the gentleman I'm talking about who interviewed me for the interview. For those who didn't catch it, there was an ABC News interview. I was interviewed for the interview. Antonio set it up. He was, I think, fair, but we're going to get to what was not fair, and what was not fair came towards the end. He and I, Mr. Asum Sami, I don't want to get his name wrong. We had a good conversation. But something happened towards the end. I don't know if you all saw it. They had Digital Sister. How many people in the chat have seen the interview? How many of you have seen it? It was very interesting what happened. It was very interesting how it was cast. So I want to have a quick conversation about that. And I'm going to tie it into Gayle for a little while. And I'm going to go straight to the phones. Because some people hate this stuff, but I love this stuff because every time I do an interview or every time I have a conversation, I realize something new and I realize something different. So let me just back up. We had the interview. We had the conversation, he and I, about reparations and about blackness and about differentiating blackness from ADOSness and about lineage and what that means. And it was an interesting conversation. I felt that he asked the right questions. Now, I'm not saying that. See, what I think he asked the questions that people would be wanting to know or hear about if they were in that room. People, what is ADOS? Well, why is it this? Well, why is it that? Why are you doing? I think he asked those questions. Whether or not I agree that the public should want to hear that is another thing. But I think those were the right questions to ask and answer. But what happens is, as you get towards the end of the interview, and before we even get to the end, let's get to how this interview was introduced. And some of you have already mentioned this, and some of you they say, "Oh, this is a controversial movement. This is a controversial people with a controversial movement." And I want to say something to that, and to ADOS really. Because it was said on ABC News with their headline as well. I want to say that we are controversial. But we're controversial because nobody has done the work. Nobody who came before us did the work to make sure that this is just basic. That this is not controversial. It's not controversial anywhere else. It's not controversial to be a specific group with a specific contribution anywhere else. If I go right now and say, well, this is Haiti, and in Haiti we all black the same. This is Ghana, we all black the same. They're gonna tell me, no, this is Haiti, we're Haitians, you're American, and they be right. If I go to Jamaica, they're gonna say, no, man, you're American. When I went to Liberia, they said you're a Yankee, which is fine. I accept that I'm a Yankee. I accept that for them that means American. I take no offense. They meant me no offense. They meant nothing. Mean, or they didn't have any ill will towards me. It's only when you come to America and you deal with ADOS and you deal with who we are as a group, that suddenly out of nowhere, us saying that we are a specific group with a specific justice claim, with a specific contribution to this country, and our contribution has come with a specific cost, which has been bottom castness, that all of a sudden people say, oh my God, they're so divisive. Why are they so divisive? Lord, why? Who made these people like this? What? What do you mean? See, it is divisive because nobody did the work. Everybody decided that instead of doing the work, that we were going to do coalition building. Everybody decided, well, you know what? We're going to let everybody in the group. We're going to bring everybody in. Everybody who's not white men, we're going to bring them in, and that's going to make us have a real good coalition. We're going to be coalitioning. We're going to be doing the coalitioning. And the coalitioning is going to benefit in something. Now, there was no specifics in terms of how the coalition was going to benefit. We were just going to be coalitioning for the sake of coalitioning. And of course, if we let y'all in, of course we get something in return. That's what happens with the coalitioning. Well, something interesting happened with the coalitioning. Everybody got into this bottom castness status, and were able to eat the fruit of ADOS, but we didn't get anything. We got nothing. So that is the compromise that was made in terms of politics. So when we try to go back as ADOS now and say, no, we're a very specific group. There's a very specific cost. It's viewed as controversial because the most basic common sense thing in the world wasn't done by anybody since King. And even he was trying to build. Now I understand why he was trying to build. In that moment, I understand why you would pivot in that direction. What I don't understand is why nobody ever pivoted away and said, this isn't working. You have to come back at a certain point. You have to assess and reassess, go back and figure out whether or not what you're doing is working. So in terms of the ABC interview, I understand why we're considered controversial, because nobody did the work to ensure that we're not considered controversial. That's what has to happen. Somebody has to do the work that makes this commonplace, right? To where, no. It's not controversial, of course. Of course they're ADOS, and of course they have a specific claim, and of course all of that. What are you talking about? So I just want to kind of piecemeal that into the conversation that we're having, and I want to go. You know, they brought in where's she at? They brought in Digital Sister from somewhere, child, and she started talking, and she wasn't saying nothing. She wasn't saying nothing. She was just, I don't know why and they say the stuff they say, and it's very divisive, and it's nativist when they say it, and they say it all the time. They say it to me, and they say it to you, and I don't know why they do it. They just keep doing it, you know. And child, I said, well, honey, child, what's going on? I don't know what's going on, but that's what she said. That was the point she made. When MLK was fighting, even when you talk about that moment that he was in, there were, pre-1965, there were virtually no black immigrants. There was to the right of the decimal point, as Antonio always says. So he couldn't have anticipated what we would be living through. So it makes sense that he did what he did. It doesn't make sense that we are now where we are trying to defend ourselves in this moment. Because basically, I want you to, let me just say it like this. You saw we came all the way to the end, and this journalist just basically crapped on the whole thing. Now, I thought you were supposed to be unbiased and ask some questions. I just don't understand. We came on because the other girl said same boat, and I just don't make no sense. I said, I can't. you basically at the end torpedoed the story with your dismissiveness. And the only thing I can say to that is, by what right? Who are you? You have no following. You have no people. You are not an activist. You are not a movement leader. You are supposed to be a journalist, Lindsay. That's not what journalists do. Now, if you wanted to have me in studio to debate Digital Sister, then you can push back and say that to me. But you don't. It is irresponsible. It is irresponsible of a journalist to react that way to a recorded interview. If you wanted to challenge me, at least do it straight face. And I have to give it up to one of the things that I will say is that whether we agree or disagree, Osunsami actually brought up to her something that I brought up to him. He brought up to me during the interview that he came from his family didn't have money. And he said, we didn't have money. And I interrupted him and I said, well, did you have both parents? Just answer me that. And he said, yeah, I did. I had both parents. I said, ADOS, there's a brokenness with ADOS. And it's not just, it began with slavery, but still mass incarceration, the breaking up of that family. And he said, I understand what you're saying. Now, I'm not talking about whether or not he agreed. I'm talking about he gave me a hearing. And during his conversation with her, he did kind of push back and say, well, I can say this about my family and what I had the ADOS didn't have. And he based that on our conversation. I would say that is fair. Right? But what you have with this woman at the end, when she came in, and I don't know who she is or where she's from, I don't know that, Lindsay Davis, what you have is her basically saying that we as ADOS, who are American descendants of slavery, not slaves, because that got wrong in the reporting, American descendants of slavery, what you are saying is that we are the same as someone who got here in 1991, 94, 98 because we both have melanin and kinky hair. In what world does that make sense, Lindsay? Let's have a conversation about it, Lindsay. Why don't you call me up, Lindsay? We can have a conversation about how you think that makes sense. You were so giggly jiggly at the end. I just don't have. And I think everybody goes through. Who asked you to talk? See, I just don't understand. By what right? We didn't have a conversation. By what right do you get to criticize or get jiggly wiggly? And just dismiss something? Because what she's basically saying, understand when she says that, or when anybody says that, it's not just her, it was her in that moment. Understand what happens is, what she's basically saying is that ADOS doesn't exist. You all don't exist as a group. I don't exist. Our struggle doesn't exist. What we did specifically doesn't exist. What we contributed doesn't exist. She's saying we don't exist. Understand how irate you should be that she is saying that we don't exist. This is the erasure of us and everything we've done. Who, Lindsay, told you to say some stupid stuff like that? And I want to talk to your boss, because that was some stupid stuff you did at the end. I just think we should have this off camera. Lindsay, we should. Do you want to? Because we all have the same experience. We dealt with the experience question. I told the interviewer, listen, having experienced racism is not the same as having a lineage anchored in chattel slavery in America and every kind of re-enslavement from Jim Crow and what happened in Reconstruction, the KKK. It is not the same. You cannot come over here as somebody else and have that in your background. How is this complicated? Are you slow? If you slow, let me know now. It is not a complicated thing to comprehend unless you are willfully ignorant or slow. Nobody wants to acknowledge our contribution, even a lot of our own people. And when I say who asked you, it takes me all the way back to Gayle. It's a lot of people who asked you to be here in that moment, right? When we need a very specific moment for a very specific thing and a very specific cause, here you come. Just making a mess of everything. And I have to bring Oprah into it because guess what? We wouldn't know Gayle's name if it wasn't for Oprah. We wouldn't know who you are. None of you people are important. And you're certainly not more important than the collective. Who do you think you are? Who? So because white networks or whatever put you on, that's whatever. We exalt you to a certain place. You get to speak on race. Except Gayle King goes in and just tries to go, and we're gonna go back to the interview in a second. But she goes try to go in and the let me see if I have an image of the Lisa Leslie interview. So you have this. Hold on one second. You have this interview. And understand, let me just backtrack a second, because I didn't say anything about this, because I said I want to wait till Oprah says something. When Oprah says something, I'm going to chime in, because I know what I'm finna do. So, Gayle King invites Lisa Leslie of WNBA on her, whatever, little, I don't know what shows these people have. I don't really watch TV like that. And part of the way through, she starts asking about Kobe. Kobe's passed away, helicopter accident. He has a wife, has kids still who are mourning, and you ask the question of, you start asking about this rape case. Because this goes to the young lady too, about who asked you. You start asking about this rape case. Now, of course, there is no conviction. We all know that. Before we even get to that, though, this person was, from the interview I watched, a friend to Kobe, right? You brought her, let me tell you, let's go all the way back to the Monique conversation that I had. If you didn't see the interview I did with Monique, go look at it. Because it goes to how Oprah and Gayle worked. You invited her on off some sister girl stuff. Girl, sister girl, I want you to come on my show and talk about Kobe, girl. I really want you to come on and just talk about what you knew of Kobe and what he meant to you. That's how y'all do it. See, being the sister girl is a window for you into the conversation. People have even done that to me. Oh, Yvette, we both black, sister girl. I want to just come in. What you saying? No, I'm not doing that because I understand that's an Oprah con. No, you did the same thing to Monique. Oh, sister girl, you just got to work hard, sister girl. And I'm going to get you on this show, sister girl. And then Monique said, hey, they're trying to get me to go do all this stuff. I'm not going to get paid. I got stuff I got. Oh, then you threw on the bus and let everybody call her difficult. Gayle ain't no different. They're the same. So you did that I know you did that with Lisa Leslie. I know you ain't talked about it. But come on my show, sister girl. Come on, sister girl. We black women together. We got to stick together. And then she came on there and you threw her all the way under the bus. She didn't think she was coming on there to talk about Kobe and this rape that didn't result in a conviction. And how come the law only work for certain people? How come the law only work for certain people? Like, let me just say this. When you don't get convicted, that's supposed to mean something. That's supposed to mean something. It's supposed to mean something. And it's supposed to mean something. I saw Gayle when she was into the camera talking about how people was at her. Well, you said in the camera something. Pay attention to what people say. Sometimes you gotta rewind. She said, I knew Kobe. I should open my mouth all the way. I knew Kobe. And we were friendly. And I hope, that you all understand that I am going through some things too. Hold on a second. Understand how you just indicted yourself, Gayle. You said you knew Kobe. You said that y'all were on friendly terms. Now hold on. You a two-faced something Because you saw that man while he was alive. And you went around to different stuff with him and hung out with him and smiled in his face. And the minute he died, you asked that question. Why are you such a coward? Let me tell you something. There's nothing I won't say to your face while you are alive. I don't care who you are. If I say something behind your back, I'll say it straight to your face. I don't care who you are. If I walk up on you at the airport or the street, I'll say you a low down dirty dog. If I said it on YouTube, I'll say it to your face. That's who I am. That's how you're supposed to be. Don't be going around here throwing rocks and hiding your hand. When Kobe was alive, you said you were friendly. Why didn't you ask him then about this alleged rape that didn't result in a conviction? Why didn't you ask him then? Well, Kobe, why didn't you say, I don't want to talk to you because I feel a certain way about you and what you were charged with? No, because y'all just like to move in certain circles. It doesn't mean anything to you. But when people go to the grave and they can't fight back, you get real big, don't you? See, it's not just about black men. That's part of it. But it's not just, I know that Oprah had to Russell Simmons and he got her to finally call it off, I think. Or she got so much pressure, the Russell Simmons doc, she called it off. Oprah did. But they the same. But with the Michael Jackson thing and you with the Kobe thing, these black men are dead. You fighting a grave? You're fighting when he was alive, though. You didn't say nothing to him because Kobe was Kobe. Now you can say something to R. Kelly because we all know what R. Kelly did, and that's easy stuff. But you didn't say nothing to Kobe because Kobe was Kobe and Kobe was powerful. You was wine swirling and smiling in his face. The minute he died, you went in for it. Who sent you, though? I want to know who sent all these people. Who sent you? Because there's another part to this story. People say, well, maybe Yvette, that's just who she was. And maybe Yvette, let me find this image real quick if I can. See, here's part of the problem. You said you were still friends with Charlie Rose, Charlie Rose done been investigated for groping and doing all kind of nasty things. Now, and he ain't on TV no more. But you said you still friends with Charlie Rose because you don't throw your friends under the bus. That's what you said. You don't throw your friends under the bus. You said that, but you had no problem throwing a dead black man under the bus. He ain't even here to defend. See, I have a problem. Let me tell you, I have a problem. Now, if somebody is dead and we know said some horrible things and we challenged them while they was alive. I said the stuff I said about Rush Limbaugh while he's alive. He can say whatever he say about me now. Come challenge me. Mess with me if you bad. But you don't say none of that and you defend Charlie Rose and then you say, so you want to go, you want to go basically, you want to say I can defend Charlie Rose and I'm not going to throw a friend under, I'm not going to throw him under a bus, but you're going to throw a dead man under a bus? And you're so anxious to throw him under a bus that you forget like them babies is still more than they daddy? Is that who you are? I think that's who they always were. I think that's who they always were. And I think the problem with us is that we can't recognize. I think she the same person as this lady at the end of that video. Who asked you, lady? Don't nobody value your opinion. We don't even know who you are. By what right are you talking? See, we have elevated Oprah, and because Gayle's her best friend, they went camping together. Oh, Gayle's going camping. We have elevated Gayle as if they are revolutionaries of some sort. We have elevated all of these people. Right? Or that years with Harvey. Harvey had a bad reputation even when you was there. Don't say you didn't know. Everybody said they knew about Harvey. What you was doing, Gayle? See, we have elevated these people for nothing. I mean, we all, listen. Everybody falls short of the glory of God. We have all watched Oprah back in the day. I used to come home and watch Oprah with Doritos and Kool-Aid from school. Come home from school, grab some chips and Kool-Aid, watch Oprah, child, because she went from Jerry Springer to spiritualist. But there's something that we never realized about Oprah and the people she was with. There's something we never realized. What do we never realize? We always talk on this show, right? One of the things we always talk about on this show is why our parents and grandparents or whoever, depending on how old you are, didn't do politics. Well, I submit to you, Oprah was one of the reasons. Oprah never, until Obama, Oprah never did anything political. Her job was the depoliticization of everybody. Even the white women who watched. Everybody wants to talk to me about everything else, but part of Oprah's job was to make people not political and make you think that whatever was going on with you was your political life, was your life and your problem. So you had to fix it. So I'm going to give you cues and strategies to fix your life. But what we're talking about is the structure's wrong. With ADOS, this is structured very wrong. We always talk about this woman right here. Fox contributor Star Parker compares Congressional Black Caucus to slave masters. This weird little conservative woman who says, I had a bunch of abortions, but now abortion should be illegal. And well, I was on welfare for a long time. I had a lot of cheese sandwiches, but now that should be illegal. This little weird conservative woman, what we don't understand is that Oprah had her on first. Oprah had this woman on in like 1990, 95. Arguing against welfare. Oprah was one of the beginnings of this both sides. Well, you said something and you said something. And we don't know. We just got to let everybody say something. No, somebody's right and somebody's wrong, Oprah. But that didn't happen on her show. The first portion of Oprah's show was about this whole, was just letting everybody say whatever. And then somebody came on her show one time and said, well, everybody benefits from taxes, not just people on welfare. Like rich people has tax havens. And Oprah's like, I wish you let me know what them tax havens is. Oprah was never there for you. She was never there for me. And it pained me when I first realized it. Because I used to watch Oprah. It pained me a lot. But I realized at a certain point, she was never there for me. She was there to protect the status quo. She was there to make people accommodate and assimilate. She was never there for me. And Gayle ain't there for me. And let me tell you something else. This little woman who was sniggling and giggling at the end, she ain't there for me either. I don't know who sent Oprah. I don't know who sent her. But somebody sending all of y'all. And that day is over with when somebody sends you to sniggle and giggle. Gosh, you should be banned from everything. I don't even understand what is happening in the world or why we celebrate these people. Why do we celebrate Gayle and Oprah? Oh, they're such great besties. They're such the greatest of besties, you know. They're the greatest of best friends. You don't know that. They could slap each other sometimes. You don't know what they go through. See, the thing is, I would never say, and I'm not saying, I wouldn't say it then, and I'm not saying it now, that R. Kelly shouldn't be in jail. The problem is that there are a lot of white men who should be in jail alongside him. And the problem is that those white men are still hanging out with Gayle and hanging out with Oprah, and it's all good. The problem is of the standard that you have. Your job is to just throw black men up under the bus and keep it moving. Well, we have changed. ADOS arrived and everything has changed. And we see ourselves as a group now. And you're not going to continue to pit one against the other. Right? We're not going to continue to have this gender sniping. Well, we just going to, well, I'm sorry. I stands with Gayle. I stands with Gayle. I don't stand with Gayle. Worth for nothing. What was you doing? I don't care what aired. They took it out of context and CBS. I'm gonna have some words for them because they took what I said out of context and they put that up and I didn't even know. Why'd you ask the question? Why? Because you asked the question, whether or not it was up or not. You asked the question. You put it out there. It's been said that his legacy is complicated. Is it complicated for you? As a woman, as a WNBA player, that's what Gayle said to Leslie. And Leslie said that she never knew Bryant as a person who would do something to violate a woman or be aggressive in that way. And then Gayle came back, because that's what she does. But Lisa, you wouldn't see it though. As his friend, you wouldn't see it. And then she comes back for the network to take the most salacious part when taken out of context and put it up online. It's very upsetting to me. Honey, that's why you there. That you ain't there for no other reason than to throw Negroes under the bus, and you know it. Comes to no surprise to you. So let me tell you something. All these people who are saying I stand with Gayle and I stand with black women, y'all are confused. And I don't even know if you stand. Don't tell me you stand with black women, because most of y'all who say I stand with black women, y'all ain't never stood with me. So suck an egg on that. But you don't stand with a person. Listen, we should put our tribe first. Black women, black men. We should put each other first. But what matters the most when you talk about the tribe is whether or not what the person is doing is best for the tribe, right? That's what matters most. I'm looking at your behavior. You got dragged because of your behavior. You didn't get dragged because you Gayle. People been watching you, and people loved your R. Kelly stuff or whatever. You didn't get dragged because you a black woman. Stop all that whimpering and crying. Suck it up and stand up on your own tools with your weak self. You didn't get dragged because you a woman. You got dragged because you did some dirty, low down stuff and you got caught up in it. You invited that woman out there, and then you put that on. You invited Lisa Leslie out there, talk about her friend, and then you threw that out there. And kudos Lisa Leslie for handling herself well. You handled yourself real well. You handled that with grace and composure. And shout out to you as a black woman. Shout out to you. But let me just say, that same thing Oprah did to Monique, said, you sister girl. Same thing happened to me, sister girl. In my family, I was molested. Stuff happened to my brothers. And talk to me about it, girl. And then she brought your whole family on there to talk the divvy out stuff that you had no idea about. Taking advantage. See, these women are taking advantage. Using blackness to take advantage. Using, like, we see each other. Yeah, man, we family, we good. What's up? Tell me what it is. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, what's up? No. Can't do it with these two. Can't do it with these two. I don't know who sent Lindsay. I don't know who sent Digital Sister. But y'all being sent. Y'all are being weaponized against the group. And that's a problem. That's a problem. I don't even know what's going on. I don't even know what these people are doing no more. I don't think we realize that, you have to go back. And the one thing that's happened that Oprah has done smartly enough, Oprah has scrubbed a lot of her stuff from the net. You can't find it no more. You can't even find clips of most Oprah shows no more. And there's a reason for that, because a lot of that stuff is horrible when you look in hindsight. Hindsight is 2020, but it's horrible TV in terms of what it produces. And let me just say this too. Some people shouldn't be so quick to judge. We look at people like Gayle and Oprah as judging. They can, Oprah said, and Gayle said, and I think Oprah, Oprah's judgment. Some people should just kind of fall back. Like, if you ever did crack cocaine, maybe you should be more open to what people go through. Maybe you should just, kind of fall back a little bit and do that. I did your drug, Oprah said, 40, struggling to contain her tears, told a former crack smoker at a Thursday taping of her syndicated show. This is probably one of the hardest things I ever said, Oprah. Oprah said, I relate so much. I have done this drug. I know exactly what you are talking about. Listen, don't judge me ever. Don't ever judge me. If you don't think you have, I have more than enough sympathy for people who have been addicts. I understand. But don't you judge me. Don't you judge anybody. You don't get to judge Kobe or nobody. You don't get to stand in judgment just because you changed the way you speak in your elocution. Your elocution is different. I am Oprah Winfrey. And you know what I tried to do. No, elocution, no, you smoke crack. Hush. You don't get to do that no more. You don't get to do it. Oprah had a show on called Back in the Day. 3 generations of an underclass. Basically saying like this, we were like people who were on the bottom were dysfunctional and they were deviants. As opposed to like the structure was wrong. Like you can only function as a flower, you only function as good as the soil that you are in. But that's not what Oprah presented to us. Because what the whole job of this show was, and you look back and you're like, I don't think I could have caught it then, but I see what it was. The show was accommodationist. Accommodationist to the power structure, accommodationist to corporation, accommodationist to the people who oppressed us, in a way that like, hey, how can we make these people assimilate? As opposed to the structure is problematic. And you didn't even really do shows on that. And it was, well, do welfare queens eat bonbons? Do they eat bonbons? Or are they taking too much from the system? I work hard to get what I got. Understand how that, and I've talked about this at length on another show, but understand how that being fed into the living rooms of not only white women, but black people, what that did to us, how that depoliticized us and made us not challenge the system, because we thought, because Oprah's whole thing is wish fulfillment, right? Like later on, at first it was, well, you can just do it yourself. I did it myself. I came from Tennessee or whatever. But the other side of that is, it's all the individual. I want you to just think back to all the Oprah shows. It was all about stuff that you can fix yourself, for the most part. How to plan your day better. How to think about life differently. How to be your best self. There was nothing that ever challenged the status quo. And the thing that we needed and need now is something that challenges the status quo. Because the status quo doesn't benefit us. So I don't understand. I understand why we did what we did. Then we all made mistakes. I don't know who we are now that we still elevate her. We know differently now. When you know better, Oprah's good friend. When you know better, my angel said, you do better. My problem with us right now is that we know better, but we don't seem to be doing better. Generations of an underclass. It was all therapy and wish fulfillment. Now we celebrate her like we celebrate Oprah and her sidekick Gayle like, you know, like they led a revolution, and now they getting accolades because they led a successful revolution. It was always about how yourself was disorganized. You had a disorganized self, and you just got to organize yourself, and you can be successful anywhere in America. That's what it was. And I don't understand who we are that we keep elevating these people. Don't you understand? Like, listen. Even with abusive people, like we know what R. Kelly did. Me and Antonio did a video about R. Kelly and how problematic he was and what this was. I just don't understand how you're not holding white men to that same standard. That seems to be the problem, and everybody's just jumping on the Gayle train now. Al Sharpton puffed his little chest out. I'll knock you. Listen, I'm not gonna have it. I'm not gonna have none of it. I stand for Gayle. And then Joe Scarborough was like, yeah. And Snoop Dogg said some awful stuff the first time. You know, why would you? Some people just poop and fall back in it. Don't start calling nobody names and threatening them. Shut up, hush. If you can't, self-control is key. What's wrong with you? People just get high, but he brought it back. And he said he didn't mean to say nothing bad about her, but not to say nothing bad, but he didn't mean to threaten her or nothing like that. But then Joe Scarborough came on and said, well, he's a druggie, he's a or whatever, he's this, he's that. Listen, society's getting ready to let ADOS know. Listen, we think y'all is Negroes, and we finna let y'all know that. They done had Snoop Dogg with Martha Stewart cooking pies and all that stuff, but when it's push comes to shove, you's a Negro who was charged with murder. We don't care what night you was convicted. They finna let everybody know. They're not going to use their voice to normally let you know. The Scarborough moment was a different moment. He tried to use Al Sharpton to say it, but then he just couldn't contain himself. And Al Sharpton, you don't put that little birdcage chest away and stop pumping it up. I stand with Gayle. I always done. I'm gonna stand with her. Don't nobody care don't nobody care where you stand. Don't nobody care where you standing at. You're not important. You're not influential. We're going in a whole different direction. Because what Gayle did was wrong. She tried to sister girl her way into an ambush. These women are sister girling their way into an ambush. And don't say you standing. I'm standing with black women right now. I stand with Lisa Leslie. Because she didn't deserve to come there and have to deal with that. So don't say when you stand with Gayle, you stand against black women. No, I'm standing with the black woman she was interviewing. If that was her friend, she didn't have to deal with none of that. She didn't have to do that. You didn't tell you were going to ask that. You said, Lisa, we're going to do a show. I'm going to do a show about Kobe. And I thought you should come on and just talk about what he meant to you. What do you think? As black women, we have to, black girl magic, we have to stick together. That's what you did. And now you just bear the consequence of that. Like, nobody's going to bring Beto O'Rourke on and, like, define him through his, what was it, a burglary charge? Like, there was no conviction. So you're defining Kobe through, like, his worst moment. That even he says, like, wasn't a great moment for him. Just because of all the stuff that happened, and he was still with a woman that wasn't his wife. He said as much. But in terms of rape, no conviction. So you're still defining him through that. Nobody defines white people through their worst moment. Like, you have a whole career, and then you were smiling in this man's face, and hey. You were doing all of that, and then when he dies in the grave, then you want to talk about his legacy. You've had a whole time to talk about his legacy and what you think it should be in there, what you think should be included, excluded, but you didn't do it. You don't do it, just like the Michael Jackson doc. I don't like all these take down black men docs, especially after they in the grave. And I don't know how we as a group, as a collective, celebrate anyone who does that. These are black women, but anyone. We had the whole thing with Tariq and everything. I don't have no problem going against black women, black men, white people. I go against anybody who goes against what we're trying to do. This is unfair. You was running with Charlie Rose. You run with Charlie Weinstein. You was in this man's face. This is unfair. And I don't know how we don't understand how unfair that this is. And how, like, I don't think Ta-Nehisi Coates came out with some foolishness. I'm not even going to read it. It was some dumb stuff he came out with about how she was his mint. She interviewed him and she did the work and she called a man and we didn't want to hear because we weak. It was bad writing too, Ta-Nehisi. You need to work on that. I don't know what you've been doing in France. That was some awful little stuff you wrote on the Instagram. I don't even know. What are you doing? Like, I don't know. But, fam, I want to give you, I said I was going to end early. I want to give everybody a chance to come in and talk about what they thought about the interview or what you think about the Gayle and Oprah thing. I know we're probably going to have a lot of calls on that. So I want to stop right here. I am going to give you the opportunity to have your say. So please give me a couple of minutes, set up the phones as usual, and I will be back and we will have the conversation. All right, fam, we are back. And let me just pull up one other thing. You know, we talked about cults coming to the defense of, and this is why I have problems. I just have problems. We talked about cults coming to the defense of Gayle, but like when your best friend Oprah had your book as a book club book. Like, I don't think we even understand that all these people are intertwined in a way, right? To make each other successful that does not impact the collective. So there are all kind of phone calls that were made. Somebody, you got to get out there. We got to help Gayle. Oprah calling. We got to, they're trying to take her down. And she done, and CBS might say something. You got to get out there and have a conversation. You got to get out there and talk. Come on. Get out there. 1 to 1. Come on. Go. 1, 2. You got to get out there. But not for the collective. This is a clique. And they're black people, but we celebrate this clique in a way that we shouldn't. We have made assumptions that this clique is somehow down for us. When it looks to me like the clique, this little boule clique and the people who have been included into it are not down for us. That's why I have a problem. Like, Yvette, you're so divisive. I don't know why if you would just be nicer half the time, things would go better. They wouldn't. I promise you they wouldn't. I promise you they wouldn't. When things do go good, it goes good because people don't know what I'm going to say and what bag I'm going to come out of. And that's wonderful. But it doesn't go better by you going soft on people who do this to the group. On this whole I stand with Gayle stuff, that was a whole put together thing for people who were trying to rally around her. All these Negroes you saw do that. They wasn't doing it day one. If you felt that way, why didn't you come out day one and say, I believe this or whatever? No, y'all be getting phone calls and messages and all this stuff and trying to get on TV. That's what it is. So I think we should just understand that as we have this conversation. But I'm going to go to the calls. I want to see what everybody has to say. Hold on 1 second, please. As usual, why don't this thing just go down? Stuff does such... The technology. Anyway, I'm going now to... I'm going to 815. 815, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, excuse me. This is Curry calling about us, Illinois. I definitely want to address the fact that what most people were outraged about, and still to this day, is that Gayle picked the most inopportune time to have that line of questioning. The man and his daughter and other families are not buried yet, and you brought up something that, as you said, he was cleared of. It didn't happen, but somehow we're now changed the narrative to misogyny and threat survival. It was never about that until Snoop said something, Bill Cosby said something, and now that Oprah and Gayle feel attacked, we're now taking it away from what Gayle clearly did, which was wrong, and making it more so about, oh, don't talk to black women that way. Oh, she has to walk around with bodyguards. And I think what really angers me is that most of your black gatekeepers have jumped on this and they're pushing this narrative for Oprah and Gayle, which is the reason we don't relate to them now. You have Susan Rice virtually threatening Snoop in her post. You have Oprah going on CBS Live, almost crying, saying Bill Cosby is tweeting from jail. You're pointing out black people, but it wasn't just ADOS or black people who were offended and upset with what Gayle did. Yeah. If we keep it in its context, the issue was it was inopportune, it was tasteless, there was no room for it. CBS did not put up cue cards to make you read off of it. These are questions you prepared, you wanted to ask. You still have not asked anything about Weinstein. You all have not made a comment about it. You made a documentary about Michael Jackson. The only reason you pulled out of the Russell Simmons thing that Oprah made very clear a couple of weeks ago when Gayle posed a question to her on a CBS show, do you believe that the likes of a Russell Simmons can intimidate me? I didn't do it because two of the people accusing him, the stories didn't add up or whatever. So she wanted to be very clear that it wasn't Russell Simmons who called her off of that. But you guys have a track record of pinning the accusations of black people that date back a decade or two putting their feet to the fire, where you got that spiritual advisor you had on your show. You haven't said anything about him. As you mentioned, Yvette Cornell, they haven't made a comment about Charlie Rose.
Or any of the white predators. None of the white predators. Charlie Rose still your friend. None of these.
And so, for some reason, you want us to believe, let's be very clear. Folks, ADOS, do not congratulate yourself for getting Oprah to address this, or the fact that Gayle gave a statement, because it was not an apology. They don't care what we think. Because if they care what we thought, they wouldn't have went after Michael Jackson. They wouldn't have went after Bill Cosby. They wouldn't have went after Russell Simmons. They are upset because their well-to-do white folks thought this was tasteless too.
Yeah, because you have a lot of white Kobe fans. You make a good point, Carla. What happens is Kobe was like the Kobe spoke Italian and they loved him because he was very respectable, and it was a lot of white Kobe fans. He was also like a phenomenal basketball player. So like, you had a lot of white people who loved Kobe. Like you saw that when he passed. Rest in peace. So I think you're right. Like it was a lot of white people who were like, "What are you doing?"
And so they're offended that how dare, because look at it, they're only attacking or pointing out the things that black people have said publicly. But it's not just black folks. Let's be very clear. That Mamba Academy was a very good engine of economy in an already well-to-do community. Yeah. Okay? Folks are not allowing you to tarnish Kobe for that alone. A lot of people lost their lives. Oprah and Gayle are outraged at how dare folks that we thought were powerless and meant anything think that they can get other folks to, put us under a spotlight. They're offended that we even have a voice in this, because why are you all trying so hard to change the narrative? Now all you're talking about is Team Gayle, or you shouldn't talk like that to a sister. It was never about that. The original point was this man and his daughter and these other people are not even buried. You asked a question that should not have even come up. You got called out for it as if someone force-fed you those questions, and now all of a sudden, a week and a half later, we're talking about misogyny and threats of violence? No. That's just like the people that say, I don't like affirmative action, look what it has become. And the real thing is, well, why was there a need for affirmative action?
Yep.
Yeah, Snoop was not right in what he said. A lot of people were angry, and what I like to call in their defense is, well, if you understood the language of the urban context and its colloquialism, you'd understand that when I say, I'm going to whoop your ass and try to kill you. Sorry, guys. But I'm not going to really kill you. I'm not going to beat the brakes off of you. It's anger because I'm hurt. They're so detached from that they took that and ran. He didn't mean that he was really going to come after you. No, poor taste. But that shouldn't even be the conversation we're having right now. Gayle, you were wrong, and you thought that you were going to be able to do this because you did it to so many other black men, and I'm still waiting for the Weinstein interview. Thank you.
Ooh, appreciate it. Thank you. I'm still waiting for the Weinstein interview too. Did you ask for it? Have you talked to Weinstein's friends? Now wait a minute. You went and got Lisa Leslie. You talked to her. Have you talked to Weinstein's friends? Have you brought them on and talked about what a horrible predator he was? Child. Anyway, I'm going now to 970. I'm coming to you. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind? You there, 970? Hello?
Yvette, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. What's going on?
All right. Sorry about that. Hey, what's up? My name's Avery. I'm calling from Colorado.
Okay, what's up, babe? What's on your mind?
Hey, not much, man. So I feel like we're kind of misinterpreting what, and I'm gonna play devil's advocate.
Okay, go ahead.
But I feel like Gayle was. I feel like Gayle was really truly a journalist with this questioning, and what I felt like she was doing was bringing some of what people were, saying about Kobe's death and about Kobe and his character in the rape case. I think she was bringing those up to be answered and put to rest, and I think it got mixed in translation with some of the public. And like you said earlier, dog, man, he handled himself like a child in that case. And I think that a lot of us, especially black leaders, can really kind of take from this and really kind of look at how we can better respond to certain situations that we don't agree with. I think that slow to respond, it should be our new code and motto as black leaders, and I think Snoop Dogg felt that. But essentially, I honestly do believe that Gayle was meaning to set this question up for the public to hear it and for it to be put to rest. It'd be kind of hard for to her to conduct an interview. I mean, they would run out of things to talk about when one of the hot topics about Kobe was that at the time, and so she addressed it with one of Kobe's best friends. And what better person to put that to rest than
But
Lisa?
let me tell you why I disagree though. Gayle put up 2 clips defending herself. If that were the case, Gayle could have said, and I don't know if I would have believed it, but I think she would have said it. She would have said, I actually did that because I knew Lisa would put it to rest. We talked about it because that's something that you would talk about before you do it. If you really were doing it for that purpose, you would discuss that with Lisa beforehand, which you did not. But if you did it for that purpose, you could say, I actually did that to put the whole thing to rest because I know Lisa was so elegant. She could do it and put the whole thing to rest. That's why I did it. She could have said that in her defense of herself. You're defending her in a way she didn't even defend herself. She didn't defend herself with that because that's not what happened.
Right. But we can you hear me okay?
Yep.
But even to look a little bit further in that, how Snoop Dogg and some of the leaders, how they responded, I feel like is something that's kind of played out and old. And you mentioned it earlier. I think we do need to be a lot slower to respond because if you kind of look at how our counterparts and our white brothers and sisters look at certain situations like the Weinstein and all that other stuff, they don't publicly discuss the dissatisfaction with that action of Weinstein. You don't see too many white people bashing their own leaders in the public eye.
Yes, you do. Yeah, but let me just say this. We talked about. Hold on. I'm gonna let you finish. But I talked about Rush Limbaugh last week. Rush Limbaugh bashes white Democrats on the daily. He bashes white Democrats every day. They bash their own every day.
But I mean, in the terms of so this case, we're talking about how a black woman treated another black woman with in reference to Kobe and Kobe being black, and so I don't think that they don't publicly speak on it on a level of racial respect like we do, and I think that it's kind of getting to the point of where hold on because that doesn't happen to them. Like we have this situation where Gayle or Oprah tried it out to do bad things to black people, especially black men, or tried it out to trash black men. So if you want to trash black men and destroy their reputation, go get Gayle and Oprah. That's not something that they have to deal with. We have to deal with that. Like, why are you? We built you. Like, we understand. Like, and we elevate you. But we didn't build you. We know white women built Oprah. But we elevate you, and now what you're using that for, you worth, like, I think Oprah and Gayle together are worth like half of like, what are they worth? Like half of the black America together. And this is what you use that for. Right? So they don't have that situation, and we're 14% of the population. And this is black people, this doesn't separate immigrants or anything, it's black people. You use that. Like, you are used to try it out. You tried it out to go and do this, whether it's the Russell Simmons or the Michael Jackson or Kobe. You tried it out to kind of destroy the reputations of black men, especially and even worse, black men who are in the grave or not even in the grave yet. That's probably what makes it so offensive. And let me just say something else about what you just said. Snoop Dogg isn't our leader. He ain't leading nothing nowhere. So, like, our leader, Snoop Dogg isn't one of them. So I'm gonna let you have the last word on it. Well, I mean, and I see it from that perspective now as to before I did it. But on terms of ADOS and I appreciate you and Tone. I've actually reached out to you guys about doing a network, the interview. But in terms of what Gayle's position is, I feel like it's a platform that ADOS needs and can use here pretty soon. And
all
so, in reference to kind of,
appreciate you. I appreciate you, Carl. I gotta make my way. I gotta make my way to the next calls, though. You can email me with that. But I appreciate you. I got the calls is the queue is full, so I gotta get to the get to. 402. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind? You there, 402?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. What's going on? What's on your mind?
Hi, Miss Carnell.
Hey.
My name is Teresa, and I'm calling. Hey, I'm calling from Nebraska.
Okay, Nebraska.
And I just want to add, my take on this whole Gayle King interview and everything like that. I just want to say that what she did was not journalism. It was, to me, I look at it as being capitalism. And the reason why I feel like that is because, and I may not be politically correct in the things that I'm about to say, but I'm a product of my environment. So, when I'm speaking, I'm just speaking, real feelings. So, she had every opportunity to not ask that question, period. When you do journalism and everything like that, there are some journalists in this world that do have that integrity to say some things are just off limits. Yeah. And I think the outrage is that the genuine outrage that everybody is feeling is that you got to understand that this man died. Not only did he pass, but he passed with his baby. And there were other children on that helicopter as well, and other, you know what I'm saying, family of theirs too as well. So to be so heartless, to try to slander his legacy with that type of illness is disgusting. And I don't look at Snoop Dogg as our leader or anything like that, but you know what? Honestly, I'm glad he said what he said, because let's just be real about one thing. Like our leaders, and I'm not saying that Snoop Dogg is our leaders, but even when they had a problem, Malcolm X had no problem calling Martin Luther King a coon. He had no problem with doing that. But the mere fact, she did deserve to let her know that we're not taking that anymore. And unfortunately, people like myself don't have the platform like Snoop Dogg to actually really give it to her like we want to give it to her. What
you're really saying is that there's a void. What you're really saying is that there's a void, right? In the sense of like it should be somebody other than Snoop, like within the black leadership, whatever, who would do that. Like that's really what it should be.
They could have did it. Right, Miss Carnell, and they could have did it, and he could have did it in a more, politically correct way. But you know what? I mean, his choice of words, I think it really hit her. And as far as all of that crying and stuff, and all of that misogyny, it was never misogyny, because Lisa Leslie was the first female to actually say something about it. And people got to start paying attention to a lot of body language. And when you start paying attention to body language and psychology and stuff, that you could tell all in that woman's demeanor. She was very shocked, like she was very shocked and kind of caught off guard with that question that she was asking her. And then to egg it on, but you wouldn't know. You wouldn't see it. Like I said, there was nothing journalistic about that. That was all about capitalism. So Oprah can miss me with that, and everybody else who's banding together with them and all of that. It was never about misogyny, because Lisa Leslie was the first female to actually say the media should let it go. The media, and if you had any questions about anything that he did pertaining to that case, you should have asked him when he was alive. Not took pictures with him, smiled in his face and everything, but you're out of line and out of pocket, because not only did that man go, but he left with his baby on this earth. And that is so heartless. And she can only hope that when she dies, people don't do things like that to her. And that's all I got to say about that, Ms. Carnell.
Thank you. You said a word, fam. You said a word. You said a lot.
And we love y'all.
Love you back, fam. Oh, like Gayle King gonna have a lot to answer for. Virginia Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax suing CBS for Gayle King's interview with his accusers. Do y'all vet these people, Oprah, Gayle? Do y'all vet the people? What's going on? We're gonna have to talk about it. What y'all doing to make your monies now? This seems to be the new thing. We're just gonna find us some black men who've been accused of some stuff. We're gonna do interviews and make documentaries. No, I don't think that's gonna work. That's supposed to be a cash cow? I don't know. I'm going to my next call. I'm going to 608. 608, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi, this is TC. I'm calling from Wisconsin.
Hey.
My thing is not, it's more of a statement. I just feel like I wasn't really upset with Gayle because I feel like she is just a symptom of a much larger problem in our community, and that is just that we don't have enough pride, enough self-love, and we don't stick together enough, and that's why she felt comfortable doing that. It seems like as soon as CBS or whatever entity run by some white man in this country opens their pocketbook, we willing to stoop to whatever level. We have to get in place a code of conduct, things that we are and are not willing to do. You know, it's just like the other caller was saying, you don't see white people in mass disrespecting each other.
They
do
though. I don't know. Let me just break you up. Let me just interrupt you, caller. They do. White people disrespect each other all the time. Like, I don't know. I brought up Rush Limbaugh as an example just because it was the best example. But the things Rush Limbaugh has said about Nancy Pelosi and other people, I mean, it's on par with some of the stuff he says about black people. Like, they don't stick together. Like, white people don't stick together. It's a myth. I don't know why we keep saying it.
Yeah, I just feel like, well, and at the same token, you are right. I do know examples of what you're saying. We shouldn't let their behavior be the bar for how we should treat each other anyway. So it just feels like, to me, we got to start having a understanding of, you know, what we are not willing to do. It seems like as soon as money is on the table, we're willing to give, you know, do any and everything, and that's just not the way to move forward. You know, people are the people that came before us made it better for us because they had conviction. They stood for something, and we seem to have lost that. That's all I wanted to put
all
out
right,
there.
Carl, I appreciate
think Gayle is not the problem. It's much deeper than that.
Appreciate it, Carl. Thank you for calling in. And let me just say this about everybody who wants to give Gayle the benefit of the doubt. You don't get to the benefit of the doubt when you have a track record. So let me give you an example. Like, if somebody robs a bank and they say, well, I didn't really mean to rob that bank. I stumbled in there and I saw some money and my family was hungry. Or something like that. You say, oh man, his family was hungry. He didn't really mean to rob the bank. Don't do that. And then you find out the man done robbed 3 other banks. Right? You have a track record that tells me you a bank robber. You just feed me a story. You's a bank robber. That's what you do. When a person has a track record that says, I do XYZ, you can't come back and then say, well, I don't think they do XYZ. I just want to give them the benefit of the doubt. I think you wrong. No, the track record says I'm right. She has a history of doing this, especially with black men. That's who she is. Oprah does it too. They have decided that their cash cow on the other side of this thing has to be thrown in the Me Too movement. Has to be, let's find as many Negroes as we can to throw under the bus with the Me Too. This is the Me Too, and we're going and then come and celebrate blackness. No. You can't give people the benefit of the doubt when they have a track record that contradicts the benefit of the doubt that you're giving them. So I'm going to the next caller. I am going to 216. 216, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi, Yvette. My name is Pam, and I'm calling from Cleveland, Ohio.
What's going on?
I'd just like to say... Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. I just asked you what's going on.
Okay. I am just so hot with this topic tonight, and I'm so glad you took my call. But first of all, I just quickly like to say I watch you all the time. I really appreciate all the hard work you're doing, so my hat is off to you. You do a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
With the case with Gayle, I just want to say I agreed with Snoop Dogg. I do think that you can get your point across without calling people names.
I do too.
But I do agree with what he said up until the part where I kind of, when I first heard it, I did take it as a threat. He might not have meant it as a threat, but I took it myself. If somebody said that to me, I would have took that as a threat that they're coming for me. So I didn't agree with that part, but everything else I did,
understood,
except calling the names. I don't agree with that.
Yep, I'm with you.
But also, okay, and also I want to say that as far as like with the interview, she asked Lisa, she asked her, are you conflicted? Lisa said, no, I'm not conflicted. This is not the Kobe I know. She should have took that and left it at that. But then she went on to try to get more out of her, saying, but you wouldn't see it, right? You wouldn't see it. I don't think that was appropriate. She should have stopped it right there when the girl said that she wasn't conflicted, that wasn't the Kobe that she knew, and she should have stopped it right there. I felt that it was kind of like a got you question, like trying to put her on the spot and trying to get more out of her. And when she didn't get it, when she initially said, no, I'm not conflicted, she kept trying to egg her on. So I thought that was inappropriate. And then I don't think that, as far as the Kobe with that case, it wasn't, tried. He wasn't found guilty of anything. Like they said, if they had a problem with it, she said she was friends with him. Gayle, this is Gayle, she was friends with him, or she had met him on several occasions in the past. She should have brought it up to him before and asked him before he passed away. That's like going to somebody's funeral and standing up at the funeral, airing all their dirty laundry and all the stuff that they did wrong in their past. It wasn't the right time or the place for that. Like the other caller said, they haven't even been buried yet. Give the wife some respect. She had just lost her husband. She had just lost her child. They're not buried yet. Give them some respect. You wouldn't put all the bad things that a deceased person has done in their life. You wouldn't put it on the obituary. It's a time and a place for everything. So I thought that was inappropriate too. And then also, like as far as with Harvey Weinstein, Oprah or Gayle, they haven't had his accusers on TV giving them a platform talking about them.
No.
So why the difference? And then with the Charlie Rose, they didn't have the women that accused him. They didn't give them a platform or a special to come out and speak their truth. So why the difference? So like I said, my hat's off to Snoop Dogg. I agree with the gist of what he said, but like I said, get your point across. Stop calling people names and no threats. And that's all I
agree. I agree. Thank you, Carla. I appreciate it. Because what Snoop Dogg did with that first video, he gave people a way to give Gayle cover. That's what he did. Like, whether you realize it or not, you have a platform, and you said that, so everybody come in now and say, oh, Gayle is being threatened, we have to rally around her. You did that. You did that with that video. Like, to the people who are making videos, I just want you all to think before you turn on a camera or a phone or whatever. I know, sometimes people get narcissistic, you're stars, you speak, but you have to think. So now you gave people like a reason to rally around her because you said some threatening stuff about whatever. Don't do that. Like, now it makes it harder to like criticize her because you stepped into it the way you stepped into it. Think about how you move. Think about how you step. Have some intention about yourself. So I'm going to the next call. I am going to 301. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi, I'm calling from Silver Spring. It's ADOS here in the DMV.
What's going on?
I saw the interview. You were great, Yvette.
Oh, thank you.
I was just so proud.
Oh.
And when you said that, well, white folks, they backbite, they go back and forth against each other. I guess I agree to an extent. They go against us, united. For instance, this whole show, there wasn't one white spokesperson, there wasn't one white anchor. It was all black. And I think the narrative they wanted to send there was how we will backbite each other, fight tooth and nail to try to show how we are not united. And that's just really disheartening. We are still there. We are still able to be maneuvered by mass media, and just as Gayle and Oprah were able to jump through hoops to prove that they're still good. They're still good for massa. They'll make it through. Make it through that tightrope to gatekeeper's keep, but won't stand firm on the point that is to the betterment of ADOS. So it was refreshing, but I had I knew that that they were going to try to spin it, and that Lindsay, she again, as you said, she's a cut off the same block as Oprah and Gayle. They might be her little idols.
They usually are.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you, fam. I appreciate you. I appreciate you calling in. Thank you so much.
Prepared.
And thank you for the kind words, fam. I appreciate it. I am going now to 617. 617, what's going on?
Hey, that is Reggie from Boston. What's happening?
What's going on, Reggie?
Hey, nothing much. I think there's one very important point I want to make before I get to the rest of my comments.
Okay.
And that comment is that I love that jacket, Yvette.
That jacket cost a lot of donations, Reggie. That jacket.
That jacket was clean. Let
and
me tell
YouTube
you.
money.
But, yeah, but the Oprah and Gayle thing, it's just real interesting, and I think in terms of them, and just in general, when you're kind of looking at a lot of these intersectionals and some of these affluent women that are running around, and like whether we're talking MSNBC or activist spaces, I'm just telling all of y'all really need to stop letting white media use y'all to gaslight black men, and you really need to stop doing it of your own volition on these platforms. It's like I'm not with the death threats, but outside of that, you get what you get. I don't care what happens to you, because you can't continually demonize black men, paint them as rapists or rapists waiting to happen, all while those same black men are part of a group who are among the most vulnerable to rape and sexual assault. Look at the data. You can't gaslight the black men when they push back against that, and then police how we respond when you push us over the edge. It's just a constant cycle of, the straight black men, white people are black people, and don't talk to me and don't do this. Not saying that there shouldn't be boundaries or that some of us don't behave badly, but it's that same racist social science out of the 19th century, like word for word, and it needs to stop. You don't get to criticize how I respond to those who are complicit in my demonization that has been going on for 4 centuries. Enough is enough. And a lot of this is the energy from the Me Too movement, which we've kind of said before. Like, this is about a shakedown of white men for power, privilege, access, and it's about the demonization of black men. And I'll go even further. It pretty much ignores black women altogether in this space. And I'm just going to say it straight.
Okay.
I really question the black women in the Me Too space. Do you even care about black women? Because when I look at it, there's a part of me that I don't even want to see the Harvey Weinstein documentary first. The documentary I want to see first is the one about Vincent Ciancione. Now, for those who don't know who that is, that was a manager in Hollywood who was pretty much a singular gatekeeper for black actresses.
Yep, like, Halle Berry, all of them.
We talk about plugs and outlets. So you have all these black women in Hollywood as plugs, but only this guy, Vincent, as the outlet. I want the Surviving Vincent documentary. So where's Gayle and Oprah for that? You have Dream Hampton coming out with Surviving R. Kelly Part 2.
There's a Part 2.
Where's Surviving Vincent Part 1? Black women were these targets. And where's that critique of black women having that one point of access?
Because wasn't it Reggie, wasn't it Taraji P. Henson, Halle Berry, all these women went through, all these black actors went through him, right?
All of them. And with Taraji and Halle, I don't even, I didn't see where they alleged abuse. They just dropped him and said, oh, that's unfortunate, and they just ran off. So it's like, we just abandoned, in terms of the arguments that we're making,
we have abandoned black women in Hollywood altogether. And when we're coddling white men, white women and white men, as they collude and struggle for power. Like, this is like suffrage and first wave feminism all over again. And I'm just saying, like, the black women that are in those spaces, you got to take a side. Like, y'all just got to get off the fence. Because I look around me and the spaces that I'm in, and I see, like, the women in the ADOS movement, and I see in real time what solidarity means. So it's like, I can't settle for this nonsense for what y'all are doing. But, you know, to the ABC interview, I agree with you that Stephen was kind of balanced and fair, and I think maybe some of the way that he grew up, you know, might have something to do with that, because for the, you know, most of the Nigerians that come here, you know, they come with the degrees, but he also recognized that distinction towards, like, okay, I have both of my parents, a lot of ADOS didn't. And Lindsay Davis it was very interesting to watch her struggle, but when you kind of look at her life, she's struggling, I believe, you know, and shout out to Antonio for the LCSC framework, the lineage, class, struggle, character. Because when you look at how she's anchored, it's vastly different from the majority of ADOS people. And I feel like when she makes the argument, she needs these aberrations to make sense, because she herself is an aberration. Because, like, she came up in Morristown, New Jersey.
Okay.
That's like 90% white. That's 90% white and Asian.
Oh.
Median income is over $100,000. Now check this out. The private school that she went to, reportedly, it's Morristown Friends School. That's where she graduated from, a private school. Now that tuition today, for high school level, is $30,000.
What you say?
Little black family is $1,700, and so she needs these aberrations to make sense. She needs these elite immigrants. She doesn't need that contradiction, because she's left out there with the rest of them.
Yeah, she got caught up in it.
She was more lost than Stephen. It's the Twilight Zone, Yvette.
Yeah, because even Stephen said, I didn't grow up with money or whatever. So he had a connection with, like, not having a lot. But he understood that was, the ADOS-ness was just not, like, coming here from somewhere else and not having a lot. You grew up an elite life. That's very interesting. I didn't know her background. I didn't have time to look into it after the show. But thank you for that, Reggie. That's very interesting. That's Obama all over again, but except for the lineage.
So it's kind of making sense the way she's tripping. And I'll just end with this. It was very interesting, you know, like, a digital sister, you know, little Miss Digital, she got to take a nap and go sit down somewhere, because I think she was too tired to realize that she was letting the world know that, okay, we having conversations offline, and that you and me, we gonna hold the line against this thing. Like, just glue the whole thing up that this is not journalism that's happening.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk. We're going to talk. You know, me and you, we talk all the time. We talk about these things, and you know what it is. You know what it is I'm trying to say to you. So, yeah.
But you held your own, Yvette. And
Thank you.
The quote that was real powerful for me is that, you know, the cost of slavery is not in the eyes of the races. That was powerful. Put that on a T-shirt. Good job. And,
Thank you.
You know, and again, this interview, like the other articles, really shows that ADOS is here. The bots, slanders ain't going to work anymore. They're just circular with their arguments, going in circles, while we going in a straight line towards reparations. That's all I got, Yvette. Have a good night.
Appreciate you, Reggie. As always, we appreciate Reggie when he calls in. Thank you so much, Reg, for calling in. That was an awesome call. I didn't have a chance to research her background, so I appreciated that. Yeah, I can't say that I'm surprised, but I appreciate it. I'm going to 310. What's going on with this thing? 310. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Yo, Yvette, what's going on? This is Mark from ADOS LA.
What's going on? How you doing?
Not much. No, I'm doing pretty good. A little bit under the weather, but I'm doing good.
Oh, get yourself
I just wanted to say, first of all, you were excellent on the interview. Even though they tried to sandwich you in between misinformation, you know, you still did a great job. You know, they always try to bring back racism to that superficial level, you know, talking about blackness, and then talking about, you know, being able to catch a cab and whatnot, instead of just getting down into the institutional portion of it. They always want to keep it superficial because that allows them to try and hold some type of commonality with us when it comes to us and, you know, trying to get our reparations. But as for the Gayle King thing, you know, I liken it back to Dr. Curry, and man, you know, it's a really case of anti-black insanity when it comes to Kobe. You know, it's no different than, you know, he highlighted in that book the women suffragists who co-opted black women to use them to push their cause and demonize black men in the process. You know, Gayle King and Oprah, they decided to align themselves with these women who, you know, these white feminists, while the crash site was still burning, you had these white feminists on Twitter and online trying to turn the narrative towards an accused rape case. You know, that's the type of people that Gayle and Oprah decided to align themselves with. You know, the black humanity is never recognized. You know, and I'm gonna make my call quick, but just to kind of put it in perspective of our humanity. You know, out here in LA on the ABC affiliate, the day the tragedy happened, you know, they have the graphic up on the news where, you know, Kobe Bryant died in a helicopter crash. The picture that they used for that graphic for half the day was a picture from his case. And I was actually posting that online, and finally, halfway throughout the day, they changed it. But that's just an illustration with all of this about how our humanity is never recognized. You know, we just have to keep fighting our fight. I'm really appreciative of you of keeping it about lineage. You know, they always try and, you know, these different people, these different quote-unquote new black media people try and mischaracterize what you guys have to say, what we stand for. But your words on the biggest stage were precise. And there's nothing that they can do to try and muddy that. It is what it is. Like, if you're going to say it's something else, now we already know you're lying. But if you're going to take the words that are being spit and try and say something else, then you just making yourself look stupid or more stupid. So that's all I got.
Absolutely.
You have yourself a good night, Yvette.
No, you too, fam. I appreciate that. I appreciate the call. I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, I can't disagree with nothing he said. What's wrong with this thing? I cannot disagree with anything he said. Hold on one second. But that's what they always do. It's so weird. What is wrong with this thing? Ugh. But it's just so odd to me, like how they go about doing everything, like the way they do it and how they do it. I mean, I don't even know. Like, what is that? But anyway, let me just go to the next call. I am going now to 419. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Yes, my name is Joe from Toledo.
Hey, what's going on?
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
You guys always hit the point. Thank you very much.
Thank you
for keeping everybody in tune that are not listening. And there's a lot of people that are not listening, but also there's a lot of people that are listening. And you guys hit the nail on the head concerning Gayle. And it's a travesty. It's an outright travesty in 2020 that we still have these, shall I say, house niggas? I don't want to use
Don't say it. I'm not on the show. Not on the show, fam. Just don't do it on the show. I understand what you mean.
Yeah, okay. So we have these so-called people that are supposed to be representing us that absolutely have not been representing us. And thank you very much for pointing it out. And this incident with Gayle is a travesty. It's a travesty in 2020. And me personally, coming from older generation, I was really never a fan of either one of them. I never even heard of Gayle probably till maybe 5 or 10 years ago. But at the same time, I was never a fan of Oprah, and this is just a travesty today. And you are pointing it out, and there's a lot of people on social media pointing this out on a very large scale. And I appreciate you bringing the message and putting it out to those that are not aware.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, fam. I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you very much.
You have a good one, fam. I appreciate that.
All right.
Yeah.
Also, may I say one more thing?
Yeah. Yep.
Personally, I actually was starting to listen to social media about 10 years ago.
Okay.
But in the last 5 or 6 years, when I discovered you guys, it was amazing to me to hear it, because I'm from an older generation. And we have not
I have to say this, over the years have not called out people like this. And it's been existing for hundreds of years. And it's finally about time that we are finally on every aspect of journalism calling out these people that are definitely stabbing us in the back.
Thank you,
there will be no progress. We will never progress.
Not with the traitors in the room.
People are empowered.
Yep. You're right, fam.
They are empowered.
Thank you, fam. I appreciate it. Yeah, we want progress. The traitors you gotta call them out first. That's just what it is. That's just what it is. I'm going to 256. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, it's a political guy from Decatur, Alabama.
What's going on?
I just wanted to call in about the interview. You did a great job on the interview.
Thank you, fam.
But I want to talk about post-interview. I have to question the journalist, Lindsay. I have to question her journalistic integrity, because she should have known, if they've been putting this special together for a while, that Shireen Mitchell has been on the bottom of a couple of articles that have been put out by ADOS. So if anything, she should have had you there, and so that you could rebut anything that Shireen was saying. And, you know, she had time to do that, just like Gayle and Oprah had time to ask, you know, Michael Jackson and Kobe Bryant. It's all about timing, and I think that they just missed the mark. So I have to question all of their journalistic integrity.
I agree. But especially because, thank you, fam, for calling in. I appreciate it. Especially because she took a side. At the end, she took the side of Shireen and said, well, I know you've been on the side of, and so y'all doing some stuff together or whatever. That's what it looks like. But you took a side. If you're going to take a side and you're not going to be like a straight-laced journalist, then I have a right to, like, talk about my side and why my side is my side. Like, and I have a that's what it is. If you're going to, because the end of the interview, like, you're bookmark. I mean, it's bookending. So you're bookending it, and you're leaving people with a certain perception. And at that point, I don't have a chance to come in and say, hey, this is why your perception is wrong. There was no journalistic integrity in that. I'm going to 443. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Is this Yvette?
Yes.
I can't believe I have you. First of all, Yvette, I love you.
I love you back.
You and Tone, I remember when I first turned on the social media, and I heard you. I said, this woman, I can't believe it. So I want to just first of all say that I worship you. In fact, I'm one of the people that used to be in your chat all the time. So I have a special connection to you and everything. But let me just say this off the bat, because I want to make sure I get this through. Remember when you hear some people are saying that this was a part of Kobe's legacy, bringing up this whole situation with the woman that had the problem, and they found all that DNA evidence that linked her to all these different men and all of that. Now, this is what I want to say about that. Will this be a part of her legacy now? This backlash that she's getting. Now, that is an ugly part of her legacy. How will she feel now when that's brought up into the picture? I don't think she's going to like that. So basically, somebody can come in and say some horrible things about a person, and now that ugly part of attacking this person now becomes a part of that person's legacy. So now basically she's going to get a taste of her own medicine. Now that's one point I want to get across. Another point is about what Snoop Dogg was saying about her and all of that. I'm going to tell you, I don't feel 1 ounce of sympathy for her. Now, personally, me, I wouldn't use the words that he used, but I don't feel any compassion for her or whatever. That's his language. And as far as I'm concerned, the media has become that way. The media has become very, very nasty. During the time I grew up, I'm a part of the baby boom generation. I remember they had a Miss Manners, and they had a certain way you do things. You know, you do this, you talk this way, you do that. Well, apparently the genteel language didn't work. So now you're talking, Snoop Dogg is using his language. And as Reggie was saying, when you dig certain ways and push people so far, you have no control over how that person responds. So are you still there?
No, good point. I'm here. I hear you. Good point.
Okay, and there's just so many different things. And another thing I want to say, I'm not into all the celebrities. I know that's new. There's a part of that part that put out the music and all of that, the negative, anything. But anytime a person that does good rap comes out, something happens. So the industry pushed this. It was always about bashing women and this and that, and nothing was said. So, like I said, I don't feel sorry for it. Like I said, I wouldn't use those words, but sometimes you have to get a taste of your own medicine. Now you feel it. And another point I want to say before I hang up, I did happen to meet Oprah Winfrey. It was years ago. I met her. I actually met her, and I talked to her. And I remember she was off and this and that. And some years later, I wrote a book, and I sent her my book, and I never got a response. So, like I said, they're all about themselves. And the woman that came up, the Susan, the National Security Advisor person that came, her words were worse because she has an army behind her. So that was more threatening than what you said. So I just want to get that in. I'm not going to hold this any longer. I think you guys are getting close to the end. But I just want to say, Yvette, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love Tone. And I admire you for what you're doing. And I love the chat. And I hope one day come back in. So thank you so much.
No, thank you, fam. I appreciate it.
You're very good.
Thank you.
You're strong.
I appreciate you calling in. I appreciate it. Thanks, fam. I'm going to the next caller. Going to 313. 313, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, Yvette? This is Nate Johnson from Detroit.
Hey, what's going on?
I just wanted to, nothing much. I just wanted to say that I'm really proud of you guys. And like with this whole Gayle King thing and the Oprah, I just want to really commend you guys for like staying on message, because I know like this Gayle King and Lisa Leslie thing is like, it's like really, how can I say it? It's very tip of the iceberg, because I know you are aware that this is nothing new. And the way people are walking this line with Gayle King and trying to say that she's a victim is complete garbage. And I know you are aware that we are so far behind that even the fact that we are even discussing Gayle King and Oprah is a testament to where we are at right now. We need to be much further. Gayle King and Oprah is so not the issue right now. We need to be talking about policy like you have always been talking about. Policy. And it seems like, but I understand, because we need to like dissect all of the garbage that comes through with social media. And I really wish you would have kind of like really delved into the social engineering of America more, because I think those were very important topics that you discussed. Yeah. Because it just seems like our people, we don't get it. We do not get the fact that television, movies, radio, media has played a huge part in dissecting who we have positioned ourselves to be.
No, you're exactly right.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you.
I hope I made some sense.
No, I agree with you. I think we have to go back. I think I did that a lot in 2017, but we may have to go back and deal with. Thank you, Carla. I appreciate it, and deal with some social engineering. I'm going to go to one, maybe two calls, and then we're going to be out of here for tonight. I'm going to 202-42-202. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Carla with DMV. How you doing?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Good. The brother right who just spoke, he has a point, because to a certain extent, the whole social media thing, I think to a certain extent that they know that the whole idea of even social media, because of how humans have been created, that it ends up being a cluster pluck, of arguments and stuff anyway. So, but in terms of just, because it seems like y'all covered everything, right? Mm-hmm. So in terms of, this is my question to you. Because you've been, in Capitol Hill and everything. Mm-hmm. So when Snoop Dogg had to
sit back when Susan Rice said what she said to him, explain why he had to step back.
What you mean? I mean, Susan Rice has actual power. Snoop Dogg ain't got no power. Like, power is institutional in America. So, like, when you look at what she's been in charge of and the tentacles that are attached, she has power. She has actual connections, actual social capital in this country that Snoop doesn't have. So what are you going to...
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No. I was finished. I was just saying, like, Snoop doesn't have any power. Like, we have to understand that these people are entertainers, and I even include Oprah in that, right? That's not the same thing as having access to the apparatus and institutions of power in America. It's not the same thing.
Right. Right, but but in the end, he did say what we all need, because bottom line, I mean, all this, we've all been murmuring this thing about Oprah and Gayle for these couple of years, and literally less than a month ago, we checked her on I forgot the rap guy name, but just right within the last month, we checked her on Russell Simmons, and boom, once Gayle did it, everybody was like, okay, that's it. Do you know?
Yeah.
That's it. Enough is enough.
Yeah.
You know?
I understand, fam.
Anyway.
All right, but I appreciate you. I appreciate you calling in. I'm going to get to my last call and let everybody get out to here because we're at the midnight hour. I am going to 269. 269. What is your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hello?
What's going on, 269?
Hi, what's up? Oh, wow, I made it through. Finally. Hi, this is James from Jackson, Michigan.
Okay.
I've been a fan of yours for a long time.
Okay, good.
Day one. So I want to say, first of all, you do great work.
Thank you.
It's just been amazing from the beginning to the end. And just everything that has changed from, everything from how things were from when the show started to now. But I just want to talk about, specifically, I'll make this quick, about the interview that you had on ABC.
Okay.
And just some of the issues I saw with how they were framing ADOS and how they I felt like they're being reductive about your argument, basically about lineage, and kind of focusing on the blackness instead of kind of showing that really what you're saying is that blackness doesn't matter anymore in the traditional sense. And specifically, you were saying like how they started out in the beginning of the interview of kind of framing it around the Cynthia Erivo situation. And they didn't focus on how Breaking Brown is an educational project and how it was being about educating the black community and the book clubs, and they didn't focus it around all the work that's been going on for, years before that situation even started. They really just kind of said this on the interview, that you found your voice with that conversation, like that kind of like what ADOS is built around, this simple conversation of blackness, when it's so much deeper than that. And I felt like that was kind of disingenuous to start off before they got to your interview. I felt like the interview was good. Like the interviewer definitely was fair with you, with the way that he talked to you, but with Lindsay, just the whole way that they set up how they wrapped around it with her pieces, it kind of taken away from the entire context of what was said in your interview with the Nigerian man. I just felt like that was kind of disingenuous on their part because as a media student, editing is very important, and the way things are framed, as you always talk about, framing is very important.
No, absolutely. Because I think you're right in terms of like Kamala. I think they did it because of the Oscars, but you're right. It wasn't enough context to kind of really show like this isn't just about a Revo. Like we have a whole thing that goes back and and has a whole context that wasn't quite properly framed in that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, real quick. That's kind of how I felt. It's like, they wanted to say that ADOS found its voice anywhere, it would be, I would say, if they're going to pick one thing, that the picking the Kamala and how you basically scuttled Kamala. You know, you were first out with all the information about her that I feel like was what led to even Tulsi Gabbard mentioning the information in the debate. I mean, you were so far ahead of everybody on that information. So it was like to not even mention those kind of things and the politics that being done and kind of just make it about this conversation about who's black, which you've always, you know, which has already been dealt with on this channel and with you and Tone. And then also to bring Shireen Mitchell on, who has already been dealt with multiple times with her interviews with Joy Reid and her little sketchy website, and just basically not really having any kind of base of data to stand on. I didn't really appreciate that, but I thought overall, like just how you spoke and what you said and how you were able to get your point across was awesome. It was excellent. So that's kind of just what I wanted to say right there.
I appreciate it. Thank you, fam. I appreciate that. I appreciate that, fam. We are I know everybody got some stuff to say, but we are at the end of our calls for the evening. It is the witching hour. We've taken like 14 calls. So that's going to be it for the evening, fam. I will at the next show, honestly, if you want to talk about this, I will not, normally I'll be like, stay on topic, but I will let everybody talk about this if they want to talk about this, so that everybody can have their say, because I want everybody to have their say. And I know that like the calls have been, for the last few shows, the calls have been like off the chain. Like it's been so many calls. So I think a lot of people still want to have stuff. If you have something to say about it, you know, on the next show, we can still talk about it. So I'll leave the door open for that, because I don't want you to feel like, this was the ABC thing, we didn't get to talk about it. We can still talk about it. And I'll probably bring it up the next show, and regardless of what we talk about, and we'll lead into it or whatever. So I just want to make sure that's clear. Fam, we are at the end of the evening. The witching hour is upon us. So please hit that like button. I haven't decided on a book for the book club yet. Please hit that like button. Please hit that bell. Please subscribe if you have not subscribed. If you want to donate, as always, go to donatebrown.com or patreon.com/ycarnell. Do all of that. You can go to adosmerch.com to get your long sleeve t-shirt for winter's over, or your hoodie, or your short sleeve shirt, whatever you want to do. All of that good stuff. And we will be back, fam. We will be back next time talking about different stuff or the same stuff, or whatever we think we need to talk. We are allowed to talk about whatever we want to talk about. Don't nobody control us. So anyway, fam, good night. Finish your libations. Good evening.